Hello, everyone. I just got a nice amount of new followers on X, also on YouTube. Um, Not because of my pigment work, but because something that I posted in response to someone on X, Amy Mech, who's been fighting against Islam Jihad for years in many different capacities. And she wrote about the Islamization of Garland, Texas, in particular. Where there's literally like jihadists setting up base there. And Garland, Texas happened to be the city where I won, where I was announced as a winner of the Mama Cartoon Contest, and where the jihadists tried to come and kill us and got killed for it. They tried to come mass murder us and got killed for it. So if you're out there, if you have any questions here, I'm more than happy to answer them about Pigman, about my work, about why I do what I do. And just as way of introduction, my name is Bosch Fawston. I'm a cartoonist. I come from an Albanian Muslim background, born and raised in the Bronx, New York, to Muslim parents. And as I often say, while we were considered moderate Muslims, there was nothing moderate about the Jew hatred and the misogyny. I would argue that every woman in my family was beaten to some extent by their family members, and of course, husbands and so on. And I left in my mid-teens. I left Islam, left behind, and then 9/11 hit, and that was for me the flashpoint where I said, "Okay, I'm going to get involved here. I'm going to respond to this atrocity, and I'm going to study Islam and jihad and find out what the hell is going on here, and get to the bottom of it, and just make the case that those who flew planes into the towers on that day were actual true believers of Islam. They weren't deviant members of the religion. They weren't allegedly on the outskirts. They weren't extremists, quote unquote. They were the most devout, the most pure, according to Islam. And I think I make the case within my comic book, within my general work. If you want to know about my ideas, my thoughts on Islam and jihad, I think probably the best place to go for that is my website, boschfawson.com, and go into the blog area, and you'll see an article called "My Name is Bosch and I'm a Recovered Muslim." And I write more or less everything that I've ever wanted to write about the issue in one article, like a primer on the issue, me and Islam and my background and why I do what I do. And also there's another article in there about free speech, another reason why I draw Muhammad. I've drawn him over I guess up to 700 times. I think over 600 for sure, but sometimes I draw him so much, I'm like, I lose track. It was like 100, 200 that I drew, and I was like, what the? I had to recount. But right now it's over 600 times. And the reason why I began to draw Muhammad was 2005, when hey, Torchbearer Studios, how's it going, man? The reason why I began to draw Muhammad was because of the cartoonists it was like a test going on. Um, it was a newspaper in Denmark, and this author, howdy, Hamilton, how's it going? This author wanted to see if people were willing to draw Muhammad for this book, because he couldn't find anyone. So this one newspaper wrote, Fleming Rose, I believe that's his name. He put it in an article. This guy's trying to put a book about Muhammad, and is anyone willing to draw it? And they had a number of contributors. They did that, 2005. And then, of course, the Islamic world went batshit crazy. And not only that, but they started adding other cartoons, more obscene-looking cartoons, to the mix, meaning they wanted to get this worldwide reaction. And they got it. You know, Muslims were stampeded. They were murdered. They were killed by savage Muslims who were going nuts over it. So they killed their own because they can't handle the idea of having human beings cartoon their prophet. And that's when I started drawing Muhammad. And I've been drawing him now for 20 years. And anyone who, I understand it is a dangerous thing to do. At the same time, I'm still here 20 years later. You can take precautions. You can, you can support free speech, draw Muhammad, and live. Now, you might get some close calls, like in 2015 2015, 10 years ago, coming this May 3rd, where I was the winner of the Muhammad Cartoon Contest. And 20 minutes after my speech, after they announced me as winner, I gave my speech. I mentioned one thing. I said, why do you think we have this kind of security in this place? Why do you think there are a SWAT team and all these, undercover cops and cops? Because Islam does not mean peace. Because Islam does not mean peace. That's why. It's just a point that I wanted to make. And then 20 minutes later, we hear that there are gunshots. These two savages from Arizona, two Muslims, drove in from Arizona to come murder us all. And they got their heads blown off by a cop, but not before they shot another cop in the ankle. And then you find out a year later that there was a story on, I think it was, I guess, the 60 Minutes special, something along those lines. Anderson Cooper was there, that stinking commie liar. But anyway, they had something on there about the fact that there was a third jihadist that was supposed to be involved, but he wasn't there, because their initial idea was that they wanted to go blow up the Super Bowl in some way, somehow, kill people at the Super Bowl. And then I guess they heard about the event, the Muhammad Cartoon Contest event, and they figured that's softer targets. I think we'll just do that. But what we found out a year later is that it was the third jihadist was in North Carolina. He was in court, and the transcript revealed that at one point during the trial, the judge removed everyone from the court, and they brought in this FBI agent to come in there and discuss it, his part, and somehow. Now, these savages were going to do what they do regardless, but there was an FBI agent pretending to be Muslim who was dressed in Islamic garb, by the way, at the event. As soon as the shots fired, he drove off. He was arrested down the street because he wore Islamic garb. And I want to know. I want to get to the bottom of this, and I tagged Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, a number of times so far. I'm going to keep doing it until we hopefully get to the bottom of it. Is this FBI agent a Muslim and who wants to do damage and hide behind him being part of the FBI and is undercover? Or is it just an FBI agent pretending to be Muslim and allowing this to happen? Because, guys, keep in mind, there were about 200 people there. We were lucky that there was a sharpshooting cop outside. Lucky. Hands down. Hey, Remco Shadle, the Skull. How's it going, man? Let me just sidetrack for 1 second. Remco, I was going to go to the Netherlands at The Hague, at the Parliament, 2018. And what happened was that 3 years after I won the contest, the Muhammad Cartoon Contest, Geert Wilders was doing another contest, and he wanted me to be the judge. And I was more than happy to do that. I'd never been to Europe before, so I said, you know what? What a great reason to visit Europe. What a great reason. Free speech, go there, have a speech on free speech, draw Muhammad in the middle of the speech, and then announce the winner. That was my goal. That was my purpose. That I wanted to go there, and I wanted to show people in the act, it's okay, you can draw Muhammad. Fuck those who are trying to kill you. And then, unfortunately, a little while before we were supposed to do it, the security team told Geert Wilders that the death threats were so out of control that they couldn't basically protect us. And Geert Wilders called me up 3 o'clock in the morning from Europe, and I was awake at that time. Strange. I usually don't go. I'm not up at that time. But anyway, I tried to argue with him. I tried to convince him to have the event regardless, because this is why we do what we do. We don't. I started drawing Muhammad because people were threatened with murder. And then I drew him more and more when they were murdered. Meaning, this is the purpose. This is why I do it. It's not like, oh shit, they're gonna try to kill us? Yeah, I know that. That's why I draw it. Because they try to kill us. That's the whole point. So anyway, yeah, it was disappointing. I've never been to Europe, and I would have loved to have been there. I was also invited twice to do speeches on free speech in Israel, and they both fell through. But one day, there's a few places I want to go to. Israel, Japan, Italy, Those are the few that I would love to. But I did want to go to the Netherlands just because of that. It would have been great. But thanks for being here, guys. If you have any questions or anything, if you're new to me, if you just discovered me yesterday, because something I posted was reposted, and I got a nice spike in followers also, which is great. And guys, if you like this video on YouTube, if you could subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. If you can like the video, if you can also follow me on X, if this is on your stream and you don't follow me. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to pitch who I am, why I do what I do, and just introduce myself to you and introduce Pigman. Pigman is my anti-child superhero. After 9/11, I figured, okay, look, I'm going to respond to this. My Muslim background came to the forefront of my life, and I said, okay, I want to really get down to the nitty gritty. I want to investigate here. I want to study Islam as if my life depended on it. Because that kind of attack, it cannot go unanswered. And I know that, but well, you're not a soldier. I'm not. I'm a cartoonist. But without the truth, without getting to the bottom of it, the missions will be flawed. If you can't recognize Islam as an ideology that motivates jihad, you're fucked in your war effort. That's why we spent 20 years waging war. We didn't wage war. We spent 20 years not waging war, doing everything else besides war. We were not fighting it ideologically, not fighting it correctly on the battlefield. And that's not to diminish our soldiers, who are the best fighting force on earth. I know that. It's the fact that their missions were flawed. Bomb mountains, let Osama bin Laden get away. It's like, yeah, don't bomb mountains. Focus on these scumbags and kill them. Bomb their holy places. That's what I would do. Bomb their holiest of holy places. After nearly 3,000 Americans get slaughtered, they bombed our icons, our towers. It's time to get some payback there. And smoking ruins. Pigman does that at one point in issue 2. And then again in issue 3. And so on. But here's my pitch from my comic book. This is, again, it was conceived after 9/11. I was thinking in terms of, okay, I'm a cartoonist. What am I going to do here? I'm going to bring my personal story into it to some extent. I have an Albanian Muslim background. I'm a cartoonist. So I said, okay, have Pigman. He's an ex-Muslim himself. Speaks the enemy's language, literally, a number of languages, wears pigskin leather to exploit the Islamic enemy's bigotry, because Islam hates the pig. It's considered the filthiest, dirtiest creature on earth. And it's just something that I thought was an interesting and funny way to face the enemy, because that's the last thing they want to face. A 6'5", 300-pound, huge guy who's not fucking around. He's a little older. He's not ready for prime time exactly. He was writing against Islam and Jihad for years with his partner, Muhammad. And then his partner, of course, becomes an enemy on 9/11. When the second tower gets hit, he goes to the ground and drops and says, Allahu Akbar. Torchbearer Studios asks, have you seen other Muslims leave the faith because of your work? No, I haven't. Not because of my work. If they did, great. Just stay and let me know. But I know that some have, I guess, how could I put it? They've written me, some ex-Muslims and this and that, and others. Am I remembering correctly? I don't think so. Torchbearer Studios. I would imagine some may have, and quietly just, because again, I'm not just an ex-Muslim. I'm an activist. I'm a cartoonist. I'm a writer. I send my ideas out there. I try to broadcast them out into the world. I've drawn Muhammad for many years. I ended up on TV and all these things. So, but there are other Muslims who are quiet about it. So it's possible that they did, and they thank me in their own quiet way. Just want to live their lives. Good for them, because this is not very rewarding. No matter what the scumbags say, they you're just grifting. I mean, if I was a grifter, I'd be doing something else. Let's just say that. There is no market for it, and in that sense, I've cornered the market that doesn't exist. Writing and drawing against Islam and Jihad, draw Muhammad. Where's the market, guys? you know. Also, that Jewish money, that Israeli money, where is it? I'd love to have it, you know. I'd accept it. Say thanks. I support you guys against these savage enemies. That's our enemies as well. And I know that there are Jew haters out there, and sometimes in this space as well. And one thing that it's humorous to me that yeah, they hate Jews, but they seem to hate those who don't hate Jews as much, which is an interesting dynamic. It's like they get pissed off at anyone who defends Jews or anyone who defends at least Israel. Now, look, there are bad people everywhere. Jews, Christians, Muslims, and so on. Absolutely. But when you have savages who go into their country and to rape and murder and mass and just kill anyone in sight, the civilians, you have to defend yourself against that and kill the fuckers out of existence. Just obliterate them. You have to. You have no choice. But people are offended that Israel would defend itself. They're offended that, at at their defense, which is sick. But again, yeah, these gropers and other pieces of shit who are socialists, who are leftists. I don't care what anyone tries. Tell me, oh yeah, they always trash on the right, and the main reason why they trash the right is because the right in their mind isn't anti-Jewish, so therefore they have to trash the right and talk up the left. But yeah, guys, any more questions or anything? I'll be here for a little bit, about another maybe hour tops. But I just want to pitch my comic again, my Pigman comic book, and here it is, Pigman #1. The Islamic background of twins comes at the forefront of their lives on 9/11, which is echoed by the comic book within, Pigman versus Super Jihad. That's the short take. And about me, just a general idea about me and my work. Bosch Fawson, Eisner Award nominee, debuted my first book, Table for One, in 2004. I was, I also got a blurb from the great Alex Toth, who I know to be the greatest comic book artist of all time. It's not my opinion; it's a fact. He's the greatest of all time, and he loved my first book to the point where he sent me a postcard and we corresponded for a bit. Just great. And so I debuted my first book, Table for One, in 2004, 21 years ago now. Wow. I created Pigman not long after 9/11, and he appears in my comics and books. I've written, drawn 7 books. I've written articles and have drawn cartoons for Breitbart, PJ Media, Jihad Watch, Front Page Magazine, and the Limbo Letter. And I did 2 cartoons for the Limbo Letter. I would love to have done more, but Rush died, and that was it. I don't know if they discontinued the publication. I imagine they did, but I don't know for sure. Hey, Art with AP. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Bosch from the UK here. Big fan. Thank you, man. By the way, I just wrote something the other day. I just posted something about the UK in terms of, people call it's fucked and all that. And I even used to say it went from the Camelot to a Camelot. But the fact is, you guys get a great leader, a revolutionary leader. You guys can get back on track. It's going to take a lot of nerve and a lot of work, but of course you can. Nothing's hopeless. The scum can be defeated politically, culturally. They absolutely can. So you guys are in trouble. You absolutely are. You got communists and Muslims to the left of you, to the right of you. You guys are surrounded within and within a government and culturally. But my best wishes to you guys, because you really, really need to take care of yourselves, man. You are in deep shit to the point where that fucker, Starmer, he reminds me of that Nazi newspaper. What was it? Der Sterner. When he and his gang said that they're going to try to extradite Americans who write things that they don't like, that's dangerous. That's war talk. That's war talk. It is. Hey, Richard Luciano. Love those names. Richard says, backers should consider buying a copy for a friend, the kind of friend who would read it, but otherwise not buy themselves a copy. Would raise awareness. What are your thoughts? I love that, because I know some people just actually contribute. They don't buy the comic because they don't really read comics. So they just contribute because they think it's worth supporting, in that way. And I appreciate the hell out of that. Always. And again, you don't have to like comics. But I do think, even if you don't like comics, I think you'll like something like this. It tells the truth about Islamic Jihad in an interesting way, through an as entertaining a way as I can muster. Because in the end, it's a comic book story. It's not just locked in like it's a cultural artifact and all that. It could be seen as that. Some people do. Some people buy because of that. That's fine. I'm not gonna whatever your reasons for buying it. Please, I need your support, and I would love to have it. But the point is that it's a story. In the end, it's a story. Um, Art with AP says, "Thanks for your words of support. We will get there, but it is truly shit right now at this moment." I know it's scary, man. It's scary, and I know people are down on it. It's like, oh, it's over. It's never over, guys. It's never over. It's never over. Um, Remco Shadle says, "The Skull." Says, "Bosch, will you reprint the original Pigman comics as a paperback collection so we can buy them all at once?" I had 3 issues over the years, and it was tough to get it out there, to be blunt, because I had an agent who was willing to take it to anyone, and he did. He took it to Marvel, DC, and Dark Horse, and all these companies, right? And he concluded it. He goes, "Bosch, they're filled with pussies." This is a guy who didn't necessarily speak that language. Dennis Kitchen, a great guy, a great cartoonist, a great agent. He had me and Will Eisner as clients at the same time, and it was an incredible honor. And he's an old school liberal. Absolutely is. Free speech to him is key. So whatever we may disagree on that issue, we're locked in, and to the point where he was willing to attach his name to getting my comic out there. And my point is that I had to self-publish it because no one else would. And it's tough, man, with no backing. And that's why I appreciate Comics Hate as much as I do, because I got to say, I was out in the wilderness before. It was really just me, throwing it out there and hopefully getting someone to catch it. So it was a tough thing to pull off. But I kept plugging away, even though, it wasn't a great return. It really wasn't. And then I went on Trashcast last March. Last March sounds right. And then I was invited to be a Comics Gate King. And since then, there's been interest. And, Comics Gate readers cleaned me out. They really did. They bought all my comics, a lot of books. And I think now I've 7 items are out of print now. 7. 4 of my books and 3 of my comics. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to relaunch Pigman, remastered versions, and by issue 3, it'll be all new material at that point, to at least issue 6. A few hundred pages. And in the end, Remco, I'm going to, my plan is to collect all of the 6 issues in a pigskin leather-bound hardcover. That's the goal in the end. So that's going to be fun. And what that takes for him is exactly, I don't know. It could be Pigman's, like, just he's on the cover. Maybe the pigskin leather parts are in pigskin leather, or full pigskin leather. I don't know. Cost-wise, that's what I have to consider. So it has to be I have to really get a high price for that. But I think it'll be worth it because it'll be truly unlike anything out there. And technically speaking, it'll be Muslim-proof, Islam-proof. What Muslim wants to carry a pigskin leather-bound book that takes on Islam and jihad? It's funny. Torchbearer Studio says, "I recently drew Adolf Hitler for a friend's college thesis paper, and I got some hate for that. Can't imagine the amount of hate you get." It's interesting to me, right? How the fuck can you get hate for drawing Hitler? And I've gotten that. I've been banned from platforms. Like, I've drawn Hitler, so he's an evil piece of shit. Why not draw him? It's like, what does that mean? You endorse him if you draw him? No. I drew him the old day. Let me point it out here if I have it. Yeah. This is a drawing I did of Hitler recently. Check it out. And it was to mock that piece of shit, Kanye West. And so I made Kanye West as Hitler's mustache. I think it's funny. I think it's a creative way of putting him in his place. That's it. That's what he's relegated himself to. So the idea that you can be punished or condemned for drawing Hitler is like, no, that doesn't, drawing him doesn't mean you endorse him. You can vilify him. Well, you don't have to vilify him. Just tell the truth about him. That's all. That's the same thing about Islam. All you need to do is tell the truth about it to condemn it. You need not to do anything, wild and crazy and make up shit. No, tell the truth, and you will be condemned because you'll be called hate speech. Hail Jimmy. Egon the Dragoncock says, "Hey Bosch, great stream with Malin last night. Loved it. Proud to be backer. With Born Again finished, what is the next series you plan on doing a deep dive in?" Batman Year One, Egon. That's next. Batman Year One. Each issue will have its own video. It'll be 4-part video. I'm gonna, you know, just tear into it, man. I love that story. I love Mazzucchelli's art, and it'll be a good way to continue where, because that's the next thing they did. And by the way, if you guys have been watching, I found out that it was 6 months. Batman Year One came out 6 months after the last issue of Born Again, so it was a 6-month window where Mazzucchelli was clearly thinking things through and saying, okay, I just had this incredibly successful run with Frank Miller on Daredevil, and I was experimenting. But now let's see what I can do here, because he created a unique, iconography for Batman that wasn't done before. It really wasn't. The simplicity of the line work, the no visible muscles drawn, the dead line weight that he did, which was reminiscent of Alex Toth. That's why people assumed he was, quote unquote, ripping him off. I never thought that. Why? The guy established himself as an all-time great cartoonist. So even if he's using someone else's technique, if that is the case, which I don't think he even was, that's awesome. Torchbearer Studios, will you do Asterios Polyp after Year One? I will absolutely do that at some point. I don't know if it's right after, but that's on the list as well. It's a great piece of work, regardless of my, opinion about certain things that happen, like especially at the end. Let's say, I don't want to give it away, but it's a hell of a piece of work, and it's just pure the joy of comics. He was loving what he was doing. You can tell it. He wrote it, penciled, inked it, lettered it, colored it, did everything, and then I came out 2009. It's like, God damn it, man! I want more. I want more of that kind of 300-page graphic novel by the master that is Dave Mazzucchelli. Again, we tend to forget that he's an all-time great because of the not as much mainstream work. He did the only mainstream work regularly he did was Daredevil and then Batman for the 4 issues. He did 1 issue of Star Wars. He did Indiana Jones. He did Shang-Chi. He did, what did he do? X Factor, I think 1 issue. And then also something that wasn't published until they published it in Marvel Fanfare, a short story about the Angel. Angel fell to the earth. I think it was maybe the Mutant Massacre time, maybe. I don't remember for sure. But it was 1987. I think they published that, or they published it a few years later. I forgot what it was. But yeah, the guy's an all-time great. All-time great. He has established himself right there with the greatest cartoons of all time. And so yeah, I absolutely will go through that as well. Torchbearer Studios. It's great. It's absolutely great. Thanks for being here, guys. Again, appreciate it, man. So yeah, here's my comic book, Pigman. Those new to me who have new followers, if you're watching, hello, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer them. I am at 245 backers, $15,770, which is great. I'm very, very pleased with it. You always want more, and I do. I want more backers. I want more, but hey, this is a steady flow here. Is considered a controversial thing? I don't know. Truth is not controversial to me. It really isn't. That's what I'm just telling here. I'm telling the truth within the story of twin brothers, one a born again Muslim, one a recovered Muslim. They're going at it, and then the extreme echo of that is the Pigman versus Super Jihad story in there. And let me go through it a little here, guys. I have 5 different covers. Here's my first cover. Pigman killing jihadists, breaking that guy's neck, punching him to death. Even the guys with the Kalashnikovs are scared and shaking. The guy in yellow, the fitting yellow, scared shit, running more. than the other guys, faster. Here's Pigman in War Paint, Jihadist Blood. This ended up being I don't know, I guess relatively popular image that people just loved, and I sold a number of prints of that a little while back. It was the back cover of the other issue 3, but now it's one of the covers here. And here's the main characters: Pigman versus Super Jihad. They were like brothers. They were working together fighting against Islamic Jihad until 9/11, when he embraced Islam at that point. And here's Pigman with his pigskin leather, and here's his creator, his fictional creator, based on me. Both of them are based on me. With the idea being this: what if I, completely submitted to Islam after 9/11? That would be this character, Salam. And what if this character, which is me, became a recovered Muslim, born again Muslim, recovered Muslim, and as with these guys, recovered Muslim, born again Muslim, Super Jihad. Here's another cover of Pigman making his vow to end jihad. Nothing short than ending jihad. Ambitious, impossible, improbable, whatever. That's his goal. As long as he breathes, he wants. His mission is to end jihad. He knows that the U.S. government sold out its people, sold out its soldiers by not going full throttle and ending jihad, which they should have done. So he's like, all right, you're going to call Islam peace, Bush? All right. You crippled our war effort, so I'm going to take the war into my own hands. That's his thinking. That's my thinking. In a fictional way, of course. I'm just cartoonist. But that's the thinking there. And it's tombstones of the Twin Towers. I think it's a dramatic enough image, and you get the idea. And then this is the latest cover I have. And I'm thinking about a double-page spread cover as well. I just got to figure out exactly what that's going to be, because I have some ideas, but I haven't. I'll figure it out. And then you get also Pigman hard index card drawings. And this particular card, it's really hard. And unlike the absorbent index cards where the ink is absorbed and it has a little gray look, this is pure black. It looks really good. You can get all 5 covers, digital copies as well, mainly for overseas readers or just people who just like reading. My Pigman t-shirt. This is, let me break it down fully now. In short, it's September 11th. And then also it's 9/11. And then with those 2 dents, there's a reason for that. You got 2 hits, basically. It's Flight 93 on 9/11, where Todd Beamer and that crew took out the jihadists. And I know people pretend that didn't happen. Why? Why do you need to believe that didn't happen? I believe it did happen. Flight 93. And then also the first attack on the Twin Towers in 1993. The first attack. So that's another 3. And then also, like a S, like a Superman, the traditional S. And on top of that, it's a lot of stuff, guys, I know. But it is a simple idea. But if you want me to get into it, I will definitely get into it, because I wanted to pack it with a lot of meaning. And it is a capitalist pig. It's a $. He's a capitalist pig. And then also I have the print of the war paint, Pigman war paint. And you can have, I want it all pack. You get the 5 covers. You get the index card of Pigman. You get the trading card, which is below right here. Like Mission Impossible, it's Submission Impossible. He'll never submit. And the t-shirt. And then I got also, which was very, very cool, someone asked me to add my Table for One, my first graphic novel, to my campaign, and I happily did it, and I'm glad, because I want to have my books in print on hand whenever anyone wants them. And then also I have these some sketch covers, which I make original drawings on the actual cover of the comic that you guys get. It'll be original drawings of Pigman, Killian, and whoever else you want. I have original art of Pigman here as well. And then commissions. I have original drawing of Pigman, pencil and ink by me with an idea by you. And then I also have a 9-page preview here, guys. I'm going to check out your comments just in a minute, guys. I have, and by the way, I played this the other day. I got hit. It wasn't like a real strike against my channel, but they said the music unauthorized. I paid for it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Um, Weird. But anyway, about this campaign, let me just break it down, and then I'll get you comments. I just want to I want to pitch Pigman to new followers on X, on YouTube as well. About this campaign, when 9/11 hit, my Muslim background came to the forefront of my life, and I knew I would respond to the atrocity with my art. So I thought about my Muslim background, what we were taught to hate, and I came up with the idea of a pigman, as he's the last thing in the world that the Islamic enemy would want to face. An ex-Muslim who's big, ruthless, and who wears pigskin leather to exploit their bigotry. It's funny, but true. He does exploit their bigotry, and they do have bigotry. And then there's the story within the story of twin brothers, one a recovered Muslim, one a born-again Muslim. The recovered Muslim, Killian Duke, is a cartoonist behind the Pigman comic book, and the born-again Muslim, Salam Duka, becomes his archenemy, echoing Pigman's archenemy, Super Jihad. If this sounds and looks interesting to you, I can move on to Pigman number 2 and further. I want to get to issue 6, but for right now, we'll take it one at a time. Right now, it's all about Pigman number 1. And now some details about Pigman number 1. This is a relaunch of my longtime series, The Infidel featuring Pigman, which is now simply titled Pigman, because for years it was called The Infidel featuring Pigman, because I wanted to get the 2 stories in one title. I said, you know what, let me strip it bare, keep it as simple as hell, Pigman, and then people will find out that it's a story about, twin brothers, and that's the Pigman is the comic book within the comic book. But it's interesting also because I wanted to focus, I didn't want it just to have, killing jihadists. I enjoy it. I love doing it in the comic book through Pigman, but I wanted to have a culture war, a political war, ideological war. I wanted a little more of that as well. But as I'm going, there's more of that in the Pigman world as well, which is interesting. It's getting a little more complex as well. I don't think in the how would I put it? Complex, but not in the confusing way. I think in a richer way, where each character, Killian and his creation Pigman, get to shine about their entire lives, what they actually do. So that's I like that because they both have battles, ideological battles on TV, at panels in the comic book conventions and so on. So I think it's fun. And again, I'm also going to bring in a little more of my life into the story with Killian and Dra Muhammad at some point, with a contest, with almost dying for it and so on. So that'll be interesting as well. And I'll change a little things, but the general gist will be there because it's an incredible issue to me, and it should be with the character Killian, who's based on me. Better looking and all that, whatever. But the point is that I also wanted to use my Albanian Muslim background to make the case that this is about ideology, religion, ideas, not race. No matter what you say about Islam, when you criticize, you call it racist. It's comical at this point. But people do stop cold sometimes when they see me. Like, you were Muslim? Like, how? Guys, it's Albanian Muslim background. I was born into this. I was raised. So let me go on. Sorry, guys. Let's see. This is a relaunch of my longtime series, The Infidel featuring Pigman, which is now simply titled Pigman. Issue 1 will include both issue 1 and 2 of my old series, but it will be remastered, where I'll be going through the comics page by page and improve them in drawing and dialogue, and we'll also be adding more moments, scenes, and pages to the issue, as well as new covers. This is an opportunity for me to introduce Pigman to a new audience in Comicsgate, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing my series with your help. If this campaign goes well, I can move on to issue number 2, and then by issue 3, it will be all new material, and I hope to finish up this series with issue 6, and then wrap it all up in a pigskin leather-bound hardcover. And speaking of Comicsgate, guys, if you don't know, if you're a new follower here, Comicsgate is like a group of people, pros and fans, who want to make it that you can create your own comics with the support of fandom, with the support of people who want comics made by those who may share their values, and especially by those who were canceled by the mainstream leftist, companies like Marvel and DC. So you guys can, help us create these comic books. that are completely off the grid, different than most of them, and we try to make them as well as we possibly can to make it worth it. And again, they're not just, as they call it, YouTube merch. All the Kings, and I'm proudly part of the Kings, Comic Say Kings on Mondays on Ethan Van Sciver's show. They all love comics. We all love comics. This is what we dedicated our lives to. And then we're YouTubers after the fact. We are cartoonists first. And believe me, it's important to do this. I want to get out there. I want to broadcast my ideas and promote my work and do this. Absolutely. It's part of the funnel, and it's just fun to give and take with you guys as well. But the main thing is I'm a cartoonist first and foremost. That's my thing. And then I'll use YouTube as promotion, X and so on. But that's the gist of it. Let me just finish up, guys, and get your comments. And thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let me just get here. Yeah, this is an opportunity. Okay. And below are 9 pages from my comic book, which may or may not be changed from here to print. Because again, not everything will be different, but enough will be to the point where you'll see, if you had read the early ones, you will be able to clearly say, okay, yeah, this is clearly different. And I just wanted to make it, it's not just different for different sake. I want to make it better. Where I can make it better, I'm going to make it better. That's it. It's now 14 to 15 years old, that first issue at least. So I can go there with a critical eye and say, okay, let's see what I can do here to improve it. So this is, again, the new cover. This is part of issue 1. He confronts Osama bin Laden. He finds him in a rat hole. And it's fun. And, Osama bin Laden knows about the pigskin leather. He's like, I'll shoot, I swear, don't touch me. He's scared shit. And if you look close, he has flies going around him because he's shit. This is the inciting incident. This is the inciting incident of the story. This is it. 9/11. For both characters, Killian and his creation, Pigman. And then you get to transition from the Pigman story, which again, it's the gutters. That means the space between all the panels is white in Pigman world, and it's black in Killian's world. Just to make it like to differentiate it, and also the style in the Pigman comic is a little more traditional, I guess, throwback really, because it's all inked with a brush, and then the Killian parts are inked with a pen. So I wanted to differentiate a little, and it's not that obvious, but if you look close, you might be able to tell a difference, just in terms of the finished art. And so yeah, transitions from Pigman's world to Killian's world here. And with him writing the letters for this panel says, they've come to kill us and we'll die for it. That's Frank Warner, who becomes Pigman on 9/11. And then I am here and I use my own books on Killian's shelf. John Romita Jr., Radiohead, Objectivism, Ayn Rand, Story by Robert McKee, Ditko, Kirby, Toth, books on violence, books on Islam, the Quran down there, books on Bruce Lee, on the stealth jihad, which is just as bad. I mean, these guys are suit-wearing jihadists who want to undermine our culture and also want to criminalize criticism of Islam. That's their goal. That's why they're here. That's why CARE's here. They're part of Hamas also, which is, and it's unbelievable. You know these things, right, for 20 years, and still the mainstream doesn't discuss it. Government doesn't discuss it. Even people who should know don't. It's infuriating, to be blunt. It is, because this is an enemy at a full-scale war with us. Just because they're pathetic, meaning they're not warriors. No, not warriors. They're warmongers who don't know how to wage war because they're stupid. So that's why they have to hijack planes and use them as missiles. They can't create weapons. They're stupid. They're evil, but they are stupid. They have retarded themselves by observing their religion to the extent that they have. And they got to be fought on every single front. And I fight them through my art. That's how I fight them, through my words, through my drawings. And here's Killian, who even gets into fights himself on the street with these stealth jihadists. And then here's Pigman, his first appearance here in the comic, taking out the jihad, and then he turns around and sees Osama bin Laden, and you see his eyes through the mask. I think it's effective. And then here's the brothers going at it. A little differentiation between them, clearly. He's starting to grow his beard. Later, he gets a full beard, and he starts to grow in his prayer scar. Prayer scar, ladies and gentlemen, is Muslims who are trying to out-pray their fellow Muslims and trying to show them, I got a scar. Huh? Look at my scar. It's bigger than yours. It's stupid, but it's funny. And there's a literal cliffhanger at one point, literal. And these guys follow him to their deaths just to kill him. They start blowing themselves up and they start blowing each other up, which is funny. And again, guys, however dark this could be, however serious, it's funny. I think. I get a kick out of it. I laugh. There's like this one part where these guys kill themselves instead of being touched by Pigman's pigskin leather gloves. And they smash themselves through glass and they fall to their deaths like 100 feet. And Pigman, there's someone there. Pigman looks back at him and goes, "What a waste of glass." As in, these guys are pieces of shit. Who cares that they died? Good. Less work for him, They killed themselves. And they do that. They shoot themselves. They stab themselves to death before he comes in contact with them. He's fine with that. I say, cool. So yeah, guys, I just want to make my pitch. I do appreciate it. Let me read this. Actually, I don't know if I read this before, but let me mention it. There's a comic book convention. There's a panel, guys. I got to put the alarm because I got to get going pretty soon. 1 second. Okay, I'm good. 22 minutes about. A little more maybe, but it'll go off. Anyway, so here's a comic book convention, and unlike in our world, this never happened. This never happened where you have post 9/11 comic books with cartoonists coming out there and having their own take on it, whether it's pro or this or that, And here you have a Muslim, a Catholic, an atheist, leftist, and then another atheist, ex-Muslim, Killian. And here's their comic books. And one of the comic books is called America with a crescent for the sea because he wants an Islamic America. Great. His name is Abdullah. And then you got Joe Bucko who is basically the kind of idiotic religious conservative, usually born-again Christians who want to prove how good they are by embracing all religions. And Islam's fine, man. It's just those who, I can't stand that. Bush was like that. And this guy makes a comic book called The PIGMAN. The ecumenical idea where you combine religions and you're all on the same footing. You're all good. And it's pretty gay here. It's a Muslim wrapping his arms around a Jew and a Christian. They're all smiling. They're like, it's so silly. The concept is so stupid that I don't even know where that would go, but I like drawing it. I thought it was fun. Plus the PIGMAN, it works. And then you got another one from this leftist says, "Love at first fight." An Israeli soldier and a quote-unquote Palestinian terrorist. Gay guys, Brokeback Mountain style in the Islamic world. And then you have Pigman, which is the proper response to the atrocity, to wipe out the enemy, not to make love to him, not to join forces with other religions, not to make America Islamic. But I love the cartoon contrast there of all these guys. You got a Muslim, you have a Catholic, you have a... and again, he doesn't represent all Catholics clearly, because I know Christians who love Pigman who would never be this, but I've seen enough of those, and they're dangerous because they're the ones who are trying to stop us from fighting this jihad in their own way. by saying Islam is fine, Muslims are fine. It's just that these extremists. That's a lie. So let me read this and then let me get to your comments, guys. Thank you. Here's the Abdullah who says, I felt so bad. He felt so bad on 9/11 about how Islam was being blamed for the incident. Guys, might sound cartoony, but we've seen people say even dumber things in real life. So keep that in mind. This guy says, I felt, he felt so bad on 9/11, not for the atrocity, about how Islam was being blamed for the incident. Incident, guys, not atrocity, not terrorist attack, not an act of war, but an incident and an act of faith as well. 9/11 was an act of faith as much as it was an act of war. I know it makes some religious people uneasy. That's a fact. You don't fly planes into buildings unless you think you're going to fly into paradise. You don't do that. That I felt a need to show Americans the true meaning of Islam and to do so in a way that they would better understand and recognize by writing about an Islamic America. Yeah. And then Joe Bucko says here, this again, to me, this comes to mind like the George Bush idiot type. He goes, 9/11 showed me that not only was a great religion like Islam held responsible for the attacks, but I believe religion itself was. And my comic shows that religion, my comic showed that religion, far from being a problem in all of this, is the answer. We're all in this together. And my book says without apology that any religion is better than none. That without God, life has no meaning. Without God, we're less than nothing. You can believe that and be honest about Islam, but this idiot isn't. And then you get this communist here. Ted Moore, basically it's Alan Moore and Ted Rall. If you remember Ted Rall, piece of shit, after 9/11. He goes, I too felt bad. I like that language. I too felt bad on 9/11, about 9/11. And I thought the most dramatic way to express that was to turn the bitterest of enemies into lovers. And Killian's trying to keep his shit together. He's a little ugh. Anyway, so it's a fun battle. It's a battle of ideas here. Everyone gets their shot. And again, I was trying to be as honest as I could with what they would be saying. I'm not just making them look like idiots. They actually believe this. I've seen people express these type of things. So I'm not undercutting them just to make them look stupid. I'm actually saying what they actually would say. And, which is fun. That's what you want. All right. All right, guys. I'm going to check out your comments. Thanks for being here, guys. I do appreciate it, as always. Thank you very much. Torchbearer Studio says, I forgot about the Angel story. Now I got to go dig through my long boxes. Yeah, it was an older issue. Well, they discontinued Marvel Fanfare, but it was so damn good, so beautifully drawn, and well told by Anna Senti. It was just a fun little story of an old lady where the angel from the X-Men crashes into her backyard, and she heals him, feeds him, and helps him out. It's a sweet story, and it's beautifully drawn. Beautifully drawn. It's as close to Alex Toth in the 80s that we, I guess, got. Even though Alex Toth was alive in the 80s, he died 2006. I had a correspondent with him in 2002. But, he wasn't doing work regularly at that time, regardless. But yeah, it was such a beautiful look. And again, the finished work was just, it was stunning. Hill again, Jimmy. Richard, I hope you don't mind, Richard. I just love saying it. Richard Luciano. I love it. I don't know. I love Italian. It's my favorite language. I don't know it. I did that little Duolingo for a little while. I picked up enough, a little arrivederci and all that, but I got to figure it out because I would love to visit one day and I'd love to maybe communicate. And I love the way Italians speak, with their hands, with their body. I just love it. It's great. Richard says, if you were to print a Quran where one side of each page is the Pigman story and the other side of the page being the Quranic text, could that make destroying it forbidden to Islamists? That's funny. That's very funny. I guess so. I guess it would be, right? They would see it that way. Like, oh no, half is holy, half is unholy. What do I do? Could be funny. And I do have actually passages and visual page, images of the Quran in Pigman. And it's a copy that Killian who's in court. He's dragged into court by the stealth jihadists who actually uh, red lighted, with his marker, a ton of stuff on there, as I did with mine, with my Quran and then my shortened Quran, because it was a different Quran that they released where they took out all of the repetitions, because the Quran is incredibly repetitive, incredibly repetitive. And if you don't know, just something that, if you don't know, the Quran is collected from longest passages to shortest. And the final word in the Quran is basically all out war for all time, because the second to last verse, or the last surah chapter, is the verse of the sword, which is war for all time. Submit or die. That's the final word. So whatever else you hear, and again, just a little pointer here also, guys. If some people tell you, well, hey, live, it says live and let live. Yeah, it says live and let live in one part, and then later it says cut off their fingertips, slice their necks, kill the infidels where you find them, and so on and so on. Meaning, if it comes after, whatever is said before, if it's contradicted by a later passage, you go with a later passage. It's the doctrine of abrogation, the doctrine of abrogation within Islam. That's what it is. So just a pointer, if anyone comes up to you and says, hey man, it says live and let live. Yeah, but that's been deleted by the later ones who says kill the infidels where you find them. How can that be the same? Yeah, it's all contradictory. No, it's actually on purpose. And they say also that that's the way it is because, and then they say something like, well, Allah had a better idea. It's like, aren't you perfect? The first time? What do you mean better idea? You can improve on your mediocre ideas and have better ones? What does that mean? Silly. But, oops. Okay. Mikey. Hey, Mikey Getz. Hi, Bosch. I'm not new. I'm old school Comicsgate. Remember your first show when Dick was on? Okay, yeah. Sorry I haven't backed PIGMAN yet. Waiting on my check coming soon. Hey, man, back it when you can. I would love it if you back it, but when you can, that's all. Yeah, I was there. It was a whole crew there. It was John and Shane and Dick Matheson and Liam, who actually, it's so funny because Liam, I did a drawing for him years ago. And he goes, Bosh. I was like, who are you? I had no idea. I think his name was something different on there. And I was like, Liam. I said, holy shit. It's been a while. And Ethan was like, all right, guys, all right, enough. Let's just get on with the show. Pretty funny. But that was great to be on there because what happened was the day before, Paul Revoch was on with Ethan. And then at the end, Ethan said, hey, cartoonists, if you're out there, you want to come on, just ask me. So I said, boom. I asked Ethan and he goes, yeah, you want to come on tonight? I said, sure. And then he had me on. He goes, your reputation precedes you. He clearly had heard some stuff about me. And I knew of Ethan for years, And even like 7 or 8 years ago, Comicsgate, I used to, watch your boy Zach stuff and comment on there and also on Ethan's. Ethan mentioned that he loved the X-Men versus the Fantastic Four, which is, a beautiful piece of work, guys. I want to review that as well with Chris Claremont, John Bogdanov, and ink by Terry Austin. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Mikey says, always down to talk about PIGMAN, though. Absolutely. Hey, Moral Fat 40 ounce. Hello to you. The Tony Figueroa. The Figueroa. I admire you as an artist and thinking man. In the war between civilization and barbarism, I choose civilization. Ditto, Tony. 100%. It really comes down to it. That's what it boils down to. You get all this talk, right? Everything. Oh, this, that. Well, the the territories and the Palestinian territory is like, no. You got savages on one side. You have people just wanting to live on the other side. You can't coexist like that. It's impossible. You have to kill those who are trying to come kill your children. You have to kill them. You have no choice. It's what it comes down to. Any civilized person sides with Israel against its savage enemies. It's impossible not to do that. And if you side with the savages, you're a goddamn savage. You're a savage. It's not about Israel. It's not about this and that. It's about the jihad. The same jihad against Israel is the same jihad against us and against Italy and against all these other countries, against the West in general. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Peter, and commenting. Jimmy says, CG is a mega support movement for people who love comics and art. Well put, yeah. artists to fans, we are all grabbing an oar to keep this all going. 100%, man. We could not do this without the fans. We can't do this without our fellow cartoonists who, like Ethan with his big platform. If I'm not on there on the launch of Pigman, I was able to do 4,000 on my own that day, which is, I guess, respectable. It's my first campaign. Ethan got me up to 9,000, and now I'm up to almost 16,000. Not bad. Do more. I want to keep going, but man, you know, Shanth the old day. John had that incredible stream that I was on with promoting Shanth's spring ball. It looks fun. It looks great, and he shot him up to 14,000. That's fantastic, man. On that one night, it's the biggest launch of Shanth's comic skate career. Awesome, beautiful. Mikey says, just in the preview, watch the pigskin and him backing off was great. Do you wear pigskin? I do. Right here. I look for a pigskin leather band on my watch. Love it. And I love the color, like rust color, a slight orange look, as our Pigman has that look, because it was a eureka moment when I thought pigskin leather. I said, of course, pigskin leather. It's fucking awesome. Of course. And he used that as a weapon against him on a psychological level. He wears it on his mask, his gloves, his belt buckle. Sorry, his belt buckle is a American flag. His belt and his boots. So, Hill, Tarks 9. Hell yeah, Tarks 9 is buying pigskin gloves. Definitely. Afternoon, Flighty. Tarks 9 says, they're calling for bullshit prayer here in Ontario. I tell them off all the time. Ugh, I can't stand in these cities across the Western world where they're having that haunting, ugly, disgusting call to prayer. I mean, it's just so ugly. It's, gruesome. In cities that are not all Muslim, it's like non-Muslims suffer for this. And it's like, guys, this is illegal. You can't lift a religion over other religions in this country. You can't do that. It's illegal. You can't. It's allowed, though, because of cowards in power who don't want to enforce those laws. Torchbearer Studio says, did you contribute or were you asked to contribute to the 2-volume DC 9/11 book? I can't remember. No. I was an amateur, I think, at that point. I don't think they would have, I would have done something strong in your face about it, but no. I would have loved to, though. And I did try this one thing, actually. There was a book called, guys, remember a number of years ago, the Pulse nightclub massacre, where the Muslim who probably was gay went to the nightclub and slaughtered 60 human beings because they were gay. Men, women, whoever was there, slaughtered them. Mowed them down like a savage fuck he is. And I remember DC and Oni or one of those independent publishers made a book called, in honor of the victims, right? Love is love, they said. And I contacted Mark Cirillo, who was the art director at DC at the time, and said, Mark, I have to make my case here, please. I said, please. I know everyone's going to get beside a point. They're going to talk about gay rights, quote unquote. It's just individual rights. There's no gay rights. We have individual rights, which covers everyone. I know they're going to talk about that. I know they talk about homosexuality and gay and this and that and queer and trans. Please, can you at least tell those in charge that I'd love to do this one page of the atrocity, convey it in some way. I'm not going to be obscene with it. I won't. But to convey that this is hate. It's not just love is love. That's the name of the book. Fine. Have me one page say hate is hate and show that these people hate infidels. They hate all non-Muslim, but then they hate also gays. They hate Jews in particular, more so than they hate your average, infidel. And they hate Muslims who leave Islam more than anyone also, because we were born with a gift, quote unquote, of Islam. But hate is hate. I said, please, Mark was always great. Wherever Mark stands, as far as I know, he's an old school liberal or a leftist, I don't know. Always showed me respect, always got back to me. I really appreciate that from Mark Cirillo. Great guy, and a great artist too. He was also friends with Alex Toth. That was our little connection there. But because Toth said maybe you should send Table for One to Mark Chirillo. He's a good guy, and that's where I connected with Mark. I got it through Casada, by the way, my first book at Marvel, and I got also to Mark Chirillo, the art director. Casada loved. I walked through the crowded room, not a soul in sight. That image that I have, which is basically it's my Table for One book right there, but it's the back cover was I walked through the crowded room, not a soul in sight. It's a good line, and Casada loved it. So I got the book to him. He got sick as hell. He gave it to his assistant, and of course his assistant, Axel Alonso, communist, probably chucked it in the garbage. So it would have been great though, be published by Marvel. Imagine that kind of book. Interesting. Anyway, Flady says also the Quran is for Muslims, so live and let live is only for Muslims. Yes, yes. Quran states non-Muslims are not really human, and they are not due for the courtesy due to non-Muslims. 100%, Flady. That's why when they say, you know what? Let me see if I can do it here, guys. Let me see if I can do it. This is moving a little ahead, but I think it's worth showing you guys. Huh. It's not coming up here. It's not coming up here. Very, very strange. Very strange. Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess I can't do it, but in the meantime, let me just mention this. In issue 3 of my old Pigman series, the Infinite featuring Pigman, there's a moment there where the Muslim lawyer who's trying to go against they're trying to sue Killian Duke for as much money as they possibly can to stop him from doing Pigman, more or less. And there's one point where the guy says there's a passage in the Quran like if one kills one innocent is as if he killed everyone, right? All people. And as Flady notes, what by innocent they mean they mean Muslims. You are guilty until proven Muslim is the idea. You are guilty until proven Muslim. All Muslims are innocent. Any Muslim dies, it's a horrific atrocity. Non-Muslims die, good, celebrate it, whoop it up. So that's exactly the case, Flady. Non-Muslims are guilty by being non-Muslim. Skull, Trevor. I missed the first part. I'm catching up now. Cool. And guys, also one thing. I was invited on John Malin's channel for his membership. You can do memberships also, exclusive content for him, members only. And we reviewed the first half of Secret Wars by Jim Shooter. Love that book. That's the book that got me into comics, really. Love it. So we had a good time going back and forth, and a good time also noting the difference of then and now, where women were being called cows and stuff. It was funny. Like the Wrecking Crew. What the hell? Look at that cow, It's funny stuff. And Spider-Man was written really well. Like Jim Shooter really got into the power of Spider-Man. It showed how strong he is and how fast and how effective he is as a superhero. Awesome. So yeah, guys, if you're a member or you want to become a member, you check that out. And in 2 weeks, we're going to do the last from 6 to issue 7 to 12. We'll do that as well. So I'm looking forward to it. And it was fun. It was fun being on with John. And again, John had that killer stream, the 8-hour stream to launch Shanth's comic. Wow. It's great being on, and it was just awesome. All right, guys. Also, one thing, if you don't know, Ethan Van Sciver is going to have this Monday's Kings will be Compensate Kings will be selling original art, our original art from the show that we've been drawing over the last month or two, and also some other stuff. So if you guys want some of my original art, some of my Pigman work, and some of the stuff that I did, redrew Frank Miller's cat, Black Cat, his Sabretooth and stuff, be there. I think it's going to start earlier at 6 till midnight. I think it'll be on because a lot of us will be selling our stuff, and it takes a while, But be there. Be there if you want some of my original art. And Flady and others also, if you want my original art of an old cover, 23 years now, 23 years old, of one of the alternative covers for Table for One. Um, it's the opposite of the one I sold in the last auction, where it was all white. This was all black. So be there, guys. Tarks and I said, yeah, John did really good. Yeah, John really kicked ass on there. Awesome. I might ask him to at some point maybe help me close out Pigman. We'll see. I would love that, but we'll see. Jimmy says, when are you and the main Shane going to stream or go on Ballers? I was on Ballers last month. I was so tired though, Jimmy. I was up more or less all night prior to the launch. So I launched all. I mean, I streamed all day on my channel, on Ethan's, and then on Ballers, and I was exhausted by that point. And I think I was yawning, and so I was like, guys, I am crashing. Thanks for having me, but it was cool being on. Yeah, I was on also with Shane twice in the last month as well. It was really really cool. Cable, John Romita Jr. Cable comic that he drew. We were talking about that a little, and then something else also. I was on with Shanth and Dan and Shane. It's just fun. I love the camaraderie. I've been a loner all my life. I'm not usually with any kind of groups. I'm just not. That's my nature. But I enjoy the camaraderie, particularly about fellow cartoonists. I just love it. And we're all different. I mean, I love that aspect also. We're all different, but we're all in the same boat, as John says. Grab an oar. Come on, guys. Let's get each other up to the top, and help each other out. Push these things. So long as we do good work and all that, I think it's absolutely great. Anyway, yeah, I do got to get going, guys. So let me read the last few, and so yeah, Jimmy, I'm always down for going on Shane's, and if he'll have me, always. Good guy, and yeah, Mikey Get says he went on balls already. Cool. Richard says, you're good, Bosch. Tons of people say my name just like that. Have you considered reviewing Tom McFarlane's run? Yes, Richard. Yeah, I love Tom McFarlane's Hulk run. I don't like his Spider-Man run at all. I can't stand it. I hate the way he drew Spider-Man. Big ass, weird looking legs. The muscle was not there. The line work was disgusting. Completely haphazardly slapped on, just, inking just webs haphazardly placed. The stupid, sad-looking eyes, ugh, nasty. I know I'm going off on it. I can't stand it, and I don't care. I mean, I told John, yesterday also. I know Todd's his guy. I said I didn't like his Spider-Man. I loved his Hulk though. I loved McFarlane's Hulk. It was a throwback to Kirby's initially when Fredericks, I think, was inking him, and then he started inking himself, and he took it and expanded an extreme, almost grotesque, but it was cool looking. The huge forehead, the short nose, long upper lip, short chin, and then a huge body, which didn't make sense because a Great Hulk was always smaller. But again, I still love the way it looked. It was cool, so I will definitely do that. And the stories were good too by Peter David, so I would enjoy on both levels, the art and the story. He spent over a year on that, if I remember correctly, over a year. So yeah, definitely we'll do that, Richard. Mikey Getz says, I'm thinking about reviewing my copy for Table for One, if that's okay with you, Sean. Absolutely, man. Go for it. Thank you. And tag me or just link me after. Absolutely. That'll be great. Thanks, Mikey. Flavor said, everyone got their DC. Oh, God. Wow, I heard about this. Everyone got their DC Harley Quinn fart books reserved for this week coming. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's unbelievable. Harley Quinn farting. I think the comic book is about her farting. How? I don't know. Richard says, John has some of the best membership shows. Your part in last night was great. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it, man. It was great being on. I mixed up the times. I was on the road. I fucked up a little, I got to say. I'm going to be there on time next time. locked in. So, but it was just fun. It was really, I love that series. Absolutely love it. I love Jim Shooter, and Mike Zeck did a kick-ass job on there too. A man called Plush says, "Hey, Plush. I like it in old comics when Wolverine called women frails. Yeah, frails and dames. I think the Absorbed Man, he called what's her name? Titania? Is that her name? Dame. Uh, Funny stuff. A man called Plush. Todd Spidey is kind of unhinged. Can't lie. Hello. I just I was offended by it, and it's probably because I was so in love with the Ramita version, the classic version, that was an abomination. His head was big and weird looking, and not no square jaw. Again, the eyes were like flopping down, sad. He's always doing this, I don't know. I don't know. I hated the way he did it. And again, check it out, guys. He made it with a big ass, which is really strange, especially when he was upside down. They're like, what the hell? Is there a black woman, a fat black woman underneath that suit? I don't know what he was thinking there. Terrible. But I didn't mind actually the first or second issue with Bob McLeod inking it with a black costume. I didn't mind it at all. I actually liked it because I loved his Hulk stuff. So I was like, oh wow, he's doing this, and the black costume one was really cool. And then he went not just Ditko, with the extra lines here and there with the bigger eyes, but really sloppy eyes. And again, it was not heroic looking at all. It was creepy looking. And I know some people like that. That's fine, but Ditko had it all. A little creepy, a little heroic, a little this, a little dynamic. He had it all. I mean, to me, Ditko, those first 38 issues and 3 annuals with Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, that's Spider-Man. That's the best, period. And then whatever else comes after is just gravy. I do got to get going though, guys. 90s, early to 2000s, Romita Jr.'s Pete kind of favors David Hayter, but his dad is superb. David Hayter. Am I missing something there? As in, is that an actor or something? It's funny because I have a video, guys. Check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. It's the Romitas. I break down this book and why they're so great as Spider-Man. And Romita Jr.'s 80s version. I don't like the recent one he's doing where he's trying to do a McFarlane style with a lot of lines and big eyes and stuff. I don't like that at all. I don't. And it's like, that's even old now, John. That's, I guess 30 years old now. It's like, what the hell, man? Draw it the way you used to in the 80s, which was fantastic. He took his father's design, stylized it a little more, made the eyes a little more stylized, like a thicker brow line on top, the bigger white of the eyes than his father did. The symmetrical aspect was incredible. The way John Romita Jr. did he took it a little further than his father. His feet were a little bigger on Spider-Man, his fists and so on, a little more cartoony, and really, I loved. If you guys haven't seen it, check out Roger Stern and John Romita Jr.'s amazing Spider-Man run. It's fantastic. It's great from I think together from issue 224 to 250 together. Okay, man called Plush said Hayter voiced the main hero in the Metal Gear games, also scripted for first 2 X-Men films. Okay, yeah, David Hayter. Okay, yeah. I see. Interesting. Spider-Man has big eyes. Mikey, he doesn't, and he didn't. Back in the day, Ditko. Check it out, guys. It was never like that ever. And the white, at least, it was so sloppy with no style at all that McFarlane did. Maybe I'll do a little draw thing where I'll draw McFarlane version, I'll draw Romita version, and from an angle. Also, the profile on the McFarlane one, he made it with no nose. It's like, okay, your nose disappears when you put on a mask. How? Anyway, also voiced Captain America in 90s Spidey tune. Interesting. So he did the voice and he wrote these scripts. That's an interesting career. Guys, thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Back Pigman. I would really, really appreciate it, guys. If you haven't yet, I think I did a pretty good pitch today. And again, if you're on the fence, hit me up, ask me. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Man called plushes. I do favor Ditko's keen, spidey eyes. Guys, take care, man. Be well. Thank you very much, man. Take care. Until next time.